I saw this Whakatāne chief executive, but it was no Kāne. I was going, someone was sitting with one. some power without people saying that I don't want to be aggressive. Yeah, I think we have to be
Welcome to this extraordinary council meeting of the Whakatāne District Council to consider Māori Wards. We welcome to this meeting iwi leaders and members of the community who will be speaking at the public forum. Over the past few weeks, we've been receiving numerous correspondence regarding Māori Wards, and we want to acknowledge the high level of public interest. We also want to make you aware of the fact that we have media present at today's meeting and that the proceedings are being recorded and live streamed and filmed. I'm now going to invite Councillor Tanchos to open with council. Could you all stand?
Kei te atua nui tonu, ko koe ana kei nei te matikona o ngā mātauranga katoa. Āwhinatia mai a mātau wānanga I tēnei rā. E poro ai, e tika ai hoki, a mātau whakahaere I ngā tikanga kāwanatanga ārohe. E whakai ai mātau, koe ara. E whakahe ana rānei, kia ngā kaunui. E whakāpatia e mātau te rohe o Whakatāne. E tau ai hoki ki te mauri, tino nui ki tō ingoratau. Almighty God, who alone is the source of true wisdom, guide us in our deliberations here today, that we may truly and fairly administer the responsibilities of local government. Let us agree where we may, where we cannot agree, let us be tolerant, that we may best serve the district of Whakatāne and the greater glory of thy name. Amen. Amen.
I have no apologies from councillors for this meeting, and I just have to ask the question, is there any conflicts of interest? Anybody wants to declare? No, we'll move on from there. So that means that we move straight into our public forum. So can I just explain that if the list of speakers has been based on when your application to speak came in, or your request to speak came in, so it's done in that order. We're starting with EV leaders from our EV leaders around the district, those who are able to come. I have a statement to read out, and we have a statement to read out from one of them who couldn't be here today. But those who are speaking on their own behalf will have 5 minutes, and at the end of which there may be councillors who just want points of clarification, so if they've got a question to ask you, they'll put that to you at the very end of your presentation. And for those who are representing a larger organisation or iwi group, they have 10 minutes to speak. So thank you very much for being here. It's a great privilege to have you in our midst. And can I now invite Ngāti Awa to the iwi to come and share to us.
Oki te mauri o toko waka o mātā. Te pūta oki ki ngā tia o tāwhi o tangi haru. Kia awa tope. Tēnei te mihi atu ki a koutou ko tāna I tēnei. Atua tai, ia koe ngando nāu I whakatūwhera tēnei a tātou hui raro ki nātu tango wa tātou kahi ngā nāna I o mai nāri tango ka pai o tōna ingoa tēnā koe. Tēnā loa koe te manukura. Nāu I whakatūwhera, nāu mihi mai I whakatau mai a matui. Tēnei rā ki a koutou ngā kai kaunei rā o te rohe nei o Whakatāne a tēnā koutou. Ngā mihi anō ki a koutou te whānau, te tai mai I tēnei rā. Ngā mea pake ki ngā taumātua I tai mai koutou. Te maha nai tēnei o tātou whare, I whakaruru hau I a mātou, te tautoko te kaupapa o tēnei rā tēnei te mihi atu ki a koutou te whānau whānui, te hara mai koutou te tautoko tēnei kaupapa ki a mātou, tēnei te mihi anō ki a koutou katoa. Ki a koutou, e kore e tautoko tēnei kaupapa. E ai ki ngā kōrero a tātou chipuna tahi o te rangi, me waiho te whakamā e patu I a koutou. Ko tira ki ora tātou.
Kia ora.
So, can I sit here? So, firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the councillors for allowing me the time to present to you today. I probably used it all up already, but we are no. I thought about coming at you with all guns blazing, fire and brimstone, talking about all the inequities from the past, but I might leave that to my whanaunga tipene mā to do that for us. I am in support of the inception of Māori Wards into the Whakatāne District Council. So let's get on with it. 1. Māori councillors will act as a conduit for Māori and local government through their personal relationships, their understanding of and cultural ties they have with Māori communities across the whole of the Whakatāne rohe. So when, and I'm all about positives, when we have Māori councillors in our midst, they will be the ones we as Māori will rely on to carry our kaupapa. So Councillor Van Beek, that will get the nuisances like myself off your back. 2. Māori councillors will bring a strategic Māori lens to the decision-making table, enabling Māori perspectives and cultural values to be fairly represented alongside those of the wider community. 3. So the presence of Māori councillors will prove invaluable to both parties through their inherent knowledge of whakaaro Māori, Māori thinking, mātauranga Māori, Māori knowledge, and tikanga Māori, Māori customs and habits. This will come to the fore when councillors are challenged by us on matters that are pertinent and sensitive to ngai Māori. The establishment of Māori seats will help to fulfil the requirements of councils under the Local Government Act, that is, to establish and maintain a process for Māori to contribute to the decision-making processes. Section 81 of the LGA, just saying. 17 years ago, Bay of Plenty Regional Council established 3 designated Māori seats, and the world didn't come to an end. 15 years of which were held in our constituency by whanaunga tipene mā. The positive implications on the district as a result of this are many, but I won't steal tipene's thunder, and I have no doubt that current Regional Council, Māori Councillor Toi, Kai Rākau Ichi, and fellow Councillor Bill Clark will share those positives with you. 6. Current statistics read that Māori account for 40% of the Whakatāne District's population and are an integral component of the social, cultural and economic landscape. Māori hold more than $7 billion in assets across the Bay of Plenty region and have emerged as key economic players in each of the Bay of Plenty districts, including this one. Despite this, Māori remain underrepresented in local level decision making, both in proportion to population and economic contribution. Māori councillors will contribute constructively to the decision-making processes through their in-depth knowledge of what's best for ngai Māori and the wider community. But at the end of the day, like today, the full elected council always has the decision-making authority, so there's nothing to worry about. Councillors, there's a shift in dynamics in local government nationwide. A new wave is coming in the local government space, and I implore you to catch that wave and ride it with us as ngai Māori. Ride the wave with the Wellington, with the Hastings, with the Hamilton, the Tauranga, and all the other councils who have seen the light. If you choose not to catch that wave with us, then get out of the way, or get washed up in the progressive turbulence. In closing, I'd like to quote one of our Ngāti Awa Kaumātua, who many of you may be familiar with. He's a very wise old man, who incidentally comes from Te Teko like I do. Just saying. Anyway, our koroua Wākau Virko would always reiterate, and I think this is rather poignant, when opportunity knocks, don't complain about the noise. O te rai ngā kai kauni hiro te rohe nei o whakatāne. Anei te wero ki a koutou. Councillors, here is my challenge to you. Ko te tūmanako me āta whakaroa e koutou ki a haunei. Mahi atu kia tika. My hope is that you have listened carefully and do what's right. Nā reira te minenga, ka reira hea koe mihi o anō, he mihi tonu atu kia koutou katoa hurinua, tēnā koutou. A tēnā koutou katoa. Tuko!
O te kuro te tako!
Well done. I'm now going to ask our Manager of Government, Cindy Butt, to just read a restatement that's come to us from Māori Leadership.
Tuhui had previously made submission in support of the establishment of Māori Wards within the Whakatāne District Council. Tuhui regards such a measure as a significant step forward in bridging the shortfalls of our electoral system for minority populations. We can accept that this may not be a solution to activating increased participation and engagement of Māori in local government politics in the near future, but it does constitute a willfulness by our community to aspire and support that objective. Finally, when our deeds speak, our words become unimportant. So here's to strong leaders. May we know them, may we be them, may we raise them. Ngā mihi tamati kruta.
Can I now please invite Ngāti Manawa?
Tēnei te mihi atu kia koutou katoa e homa. Ai te haukanga o tēnei rohi o Ngāti Awa te tuki a tēnei te mihi atu kia koutou katoa. Mena manuhiri tuarangi, mena iwi katoa o te motu o te ara, o te waka o mātātua, tēnei te mihi atu kia koutou katoa e homa. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, would you like me to sit or would you like me to stand? I'm more comfortable standing if that's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here on behalf of Ngāti Manawa. For those who do not know me, my name is Kane Edwards and I am the chairman of Te Runanga o Ngāti Manawa Trust. And I'm here representing Ngāti Manawa in this discussion today. My people have told me in no uncertain terms, Ngāti Manawa needs to be here, Ngāti Manawa needs to speak, Ngāti Manawa needs to get our voice across to say to you all, councillors, that this is a must. Māori wards need to be coming in and need to come in now. So that's my first point. My second point is, through you, Councillor Alison Silcock, you represent Ngāti Manawa. You represent our interests at this table. We are asking you to vote and to vote the right way. The right way is for Māori wards to be put in place now. If I can just reiterate this, why Ngāti Manawa is telling you to vote, Alison, in this is because the legislation has been changed. Without, I hope that's not my time already. I'll have to take some of my time back off my Ngāti Awa relations. Oh, I might. Now, we've got a process that's now been put in place by our government to put new legislation in place here to allow us to get away from the unbiased and discriminatory way things have happened. A good example was the last elections, where we Māori had to come back to everyone else to get your fellas okay. Ha, no more. It's not going to happen. The other thing I want to say to you, Alison, is that you represent a Māori, a very strong Māori population. Ruatahuna, Te Whaiti, Minginui, Murupara, Waiahu. They are all saying to you, vote for the Māori wards. It's not about your personal opinion. It's not about your little, I suppose, area that you look after. I understand you're from Galatea, but you represent the majority of our Murupara Galatea ward, and our people are speaking and saying to you, vote for the Māori wards. Our expectation to you today is you will do what is best for the majority of your constituents, and that is who we are. Last but not least, and I'll keep it very short, this is to all of you, all of the councillors now. This is the right thing to do today. Please vote for the Māori wards. You are going to be making history. That's the reality of it. Making history for all of this district, for all of our communities, by voting for Māori wards and voting now. Kia ora.
Kuaira, te tanata tūtū tau makare ko ako hau ko nui, ko nuwake, ko manu, ko eko, ko toroa, ko ruai hona, ko te tahinga o te rā. Kuaira, te manu ka hurua, huru nui no, manu no, weka ka tapori atu, ka tapori mai. Wero no, nā rā kai whakai ia nā tīpu nei, tīki nei rā wahi. Hei ho mai, mo taku waka ko wai mihia. Kuaira, ko te matau nā rā kau atu kāri. Kuaira, ko te matau nā rā kau atu kāriwha. Kuaira, ko te matau nā rā kau atu kaitau a whāno, hara mai te toki, hauni e, hui e, tāiki e. Ngā tiawa, ngā uri whakaheka te wanu i ārani, tēnei nā no whanau no roto mau te whirinaki ka mihi kia koutou. Patatu hia mai tēnei kaupapa nui kirune kia koutou, pa whāriki hia mai nā, tūna ki ngā wai pōkare wai, atoi te huatahi atoi kai rāwha. Ko ia ka mihi atu kia koutou nā runei te kaupapa ko whakahira tia mai nei te rānei. E ka tika atu hai mihi kia koe, ai te rana tiro nā tiawa. Ko ia te kōrero o te tahinga o te rā. Wai hoa mā te patu, mā te whakamai patu, ka tika. Ngā iwi Māori, koutou katoa ngā hāpori o roto mai te kaunihero o Whakatāne. Kia tū, kia raha kia matā. Koe nei tā te kōrero a Ngāti Whare te o koutou te rānei. Ai tau toko haere hiake nei, te whakaarahana mai, ai angai tātou ko te iwi Māori, tuturua ki te whakamau kia tīna, haumi e, hui e, tāiki e.
I'm going to be like my relation from Ngāti Manawa, and I feel far more comfortable to be addressing this forum standing. As many of our rangatira have done on our marae, you never see any of our speakers sitting when addressing such occasions like this. No disrespect, of course, to my relation from Ngāti Awa. No te haukainga ke te rā tangata. Our haukainga relations can do as they please on their whenua. And that is the mana motu hake aspect of how we engage our people. So I'd like to also follow on the sentiments of the great iwi leader speakers, the leaders before myself, with regards to acknowledging Ngāti Awa, the people of Whakatāne, the people that keep the home fires burning strong and keep the fires warm for everyone to return to. For people like myself that represent the runanga o Ngāti Whare and the Whirinaki, Minginui, Te Whaiti, and Whakatāne districts, it's absolutely awesome to be able to return to these fires and to add our little pieces of wood to stoke next to it. So thank you for having us here today. Also addressing fellow councillors, Madam Mayor, with regards to allowing this auspicious day to occur. It's been a long time coming for and on behalf of not just Whakatāne District Mayor, but all of our communities across the country. Te runanga o Ngāti Whare is very clear in its direction in this meeting. My name's Tāne Cook and I am the elected Deputy Chair of Ngāti Whare. This is my first term. I'm an elected member just like you. I have a responsibility and a continual care for and on behalf of my people, and to ensure that their voices are not only listened to, but heard and resonate with everybody that hears the resounding sound of Ngāti Whare people. We might be a small community. In fact, some of my larger iwi counterparts might even consider us to be a very small tribe. But I can tell you that we come with strength and authority and mana that has been accorded to us through our whakapapa connections, and therefore I'd like to also acknowledge my two hoi whānau that are here in the room today. As we are aware, the Minginui, Te Whaiti and Ngāpuitahi districts sit on the peripheral boundaries of the Ruatahuna district in Murupara. It would be absolutely untoward for me to be standing here and disagreeing with what my whānau have said here at this very table. I too would like to address you, Councillor Silcock, in your role to be representing my people in the space that you traverse here in the council chambers. You have a responsibility of care to each and every individual that traverse our space, irrespective of, as spoken to by Ngāti Manawa, your own personal views might be with regards to how our communities might act and or be. You have a responsibility charged by this council to ensure that you do vote in the way that your people are asking you to vote today. Our people and our runanga are very clear about where our position is. We must establish Māori Wards on the Whakatāne District Council. so that there is a voice heard, listened to, that resonates through all communities, so that everyone in your position of leadership and authority at a level that is touted to ensure that our communities are kept safe and healthy and are together and are connected in a binary way as our tipuna had accorded to us from that day to this. I want to congratulate you in some of the aspects of what you have achieved in your tenure as a councillor to this space. However, councillor, there is a great deal of work that is still yet to be done to ensure that there is not only a partnership between our people, but you also engage te tiriti o Waitani as it is accorded to our people for the last 180 years, and ensuring that the voices are not only clearly heard again, but you resonate in what's been said, traversing the marae and understanding the whai kōrero and karanga that takes place in that space is the connectivity between our people and the rest of our communities. To the rest of the councillors that are sitting here today, I implore you, on behalf of Te Runanga o Ngāti Whare, that represents a huge cluster and body of people that vote and promote and market this council, to undertake its tasks, to ensure that you are voting in the right way and that you are ensuring that Māori Wards will be accorded its right at your table, as articulated by the iwi leaders before myself and those that are going to articulate after myself. Your Worship the Mayor, you have a task of ensuring that your councillors represent every aspect of the communities by which they serve. It is your role to ensure that that is clear and clearly understood to all of the constituents that sit within the Whakatāne District Council sphere. Te Runanga o Ngāti Whare will not move from its position with regards to where we are today. We fully support the speakers before myself and those that come after to ensure that you as councillors and that this body as a council moves to make history for and on behalf of the people that are here today, but also for the children like from Te Kura o Te Teko that arrived today can stand proudly in their futures in knowing that today you spoke for and on behalf of them and every other generation that comes after. In closing, I would like to congratulate all of you that have already started to think in the way that the people have asked you to think here today. All those that might be here to stand in objection to where we as a people are standing, then let it be upon their shoulders the demise of how things might be working in the current future. And I'm talking very much after this meeting, because I'm sure that the Māori contingent and the communities that we serve would be insistent that we do not stop just at this pathway should you not vote in the right way that we are asking you to vote for and on behalf of all of our communities that you serve. This is not simply about advantaging Māori in this space, it's about advantaging our communities. It's about connecting us together, just like the Harakeke had done, just like Māui Tiki Tiki Atarana did, to slow the sun, to ensure that we fished up Tika a Māui. For without that, we would not be here this very day. There is a lot more in this space that yet we all have to learn. But I think from today, not only will history be created, but you will be able to move our communities into a space of togetherness that has never been felt nor seen before. So with that in parting, I'd like to encourage everybody that's here in this room today to ensure that not only do they vote in the right way, but when elections come, you vote in the right way. Nō reira, huri no tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou.
Can I now invite Natalie Rangi?
Kia ora no tātou. Your Worship the Mayor, Councillors of Whakatāne District Council, tēnā koutou. Nā te awa, tēnā koutou. Kei ngā rangatira no mātātua, tēnā koutou, katoa. I'll adopt the kawa of this council and I'll sit down. Kei te pai? This is a momentous day for the council and I'm delighted that you've asked Ngāti Rangitihi to come and contribute to this decision today. Before I get to the question at hand today, which is about Māori Wards, can I just say that the representation of Māori and the decision-making of Māori at a council, local government level is a journey, and there is a continuum. And today you are moving us along that continuum. But can I say we're not there with today's decision? We will only be there when sitting around the table is a mixture of representatives from Tūhoe, Ngāti Whare, Ngāti Manawa, Tūwhare Tōki Kawerau, Ngāti Rangitihi and Ngāti Awa, sitting alongside of representatives from the community in a truly co-governance way of the way that decisions should be made at a local government level. So that's our aspiration. So today is just a part of that continuum. It's an important step, but it's not the last step. So in speaking to the step that you are taking, I think it makes sense that you should have around the table people who represent the different constituents in your rohe. And I think by having Māori wards, you will bring Māori voices to your deliberations, and I think that is a very sensible and right thing to do. So you can argue all sorts of rights around treaties and around all of those things, but your council should reflect the makeup of your constituents. And if it doesn't, we've got to find ways of making sure that it does. And the Māori wards is one way of doing it. I personally think in some aspects of the way that they're going about this is quite clumsy. And to have the Māori wards only being voted for by people who are on the Māori roll, and you can do your maths around how many people that is a clumsy way of doing it. And you might want to review that and come up with something that's a bit more equitable in terms of the distribution of the number of constituents to each councillor. But at least it's a start. It's a simple way of doing it. I don't think it's perfect, but I think to get it started, it's probably as good as it gets. So Ngāti Rangitihi is supportive of Māori wards. We're supportive of having the Māori voice at the table, but our aspirations extends beyond just having Māori voices at the table. It extends to true partnership and the iwi of the Whakatāne District Council sitting alongside councillors in a truly co-governance way. So I thank you for allowing me to speak. I've deliberately kept my part short because I have a colleague who was dying to give his view of the world, and I wonder whether Ngāti Rangitihi could also be permitted to ask Tipene Mā to come forward.
You certainly have time for that. We've got another 6 minutes.
Ka pai.
6 minutes. Kia ora na tātou, pūtauaki, ka pūterangi, pōhaturoa, ariki rau te ana, wai ewe te awa, pāpaka te pātū wata wata, wharaurangi te whenua, kōrero tau wā i wharaurangi, kōrero tā mātou i o tua whaka. Nā te awa koutou, te haukaina, kānu te miki a koutou, te kai whakarite, hoi o te wako o te whakapono, kānu te miki a koe Nandos mo tō karaki mō tātou. Kia ora na tātou katoa. I've got my little prompts. 15 years on regional council, on those first 3 Māori seats ever in any council of New Zealand, outside of the government. We were only 3 of 14, so there was 11 ordinary seats there, and it's still the same now. But being there, you're on there building trust with other councillors. You know, you're voting for some of their things and they're going to vote for some of your things. So getting to their trust. A Māori whakaaro, a Māori, I mean, let's face it, most councils in New Zealand are, sorry guys, old grey hairs and a couple of old grey haired ladies, sorry, Julie, no. So they're very old people who are basically, they are non-Māori, and they don't know anything about Māori whakaaro at all. Driving through, we went around the districts one time, we're going through Hauati and Tauranga there, obviously a Māori suburb. And one of the old councillors, grey-haired of course, gets up and says, "Oh, everyone's got Sky." And so I go up, we're on a bus, I go up and grab the mic and I say, "Oh, have you ever had your Sky cut off?" And of course there's all, rich old ex-farmers and stuff like that. "What? Had my Sky cut off?" "No." "Have you ever, had your Sky turned off?" I said, "They don't take those little $20 dishes off the roof just because there's a Sky thing." So, things like that they don't realise. Racist remarks around the council, of course, council table. You got to wait your turn to talk, so I'd put my hand up and wait for my turn to look across the table, look them in the eye and say, "What did you just say?" It's not 1965 now. You might have been able to say that way back in the day, but you can't say it now. So I look them in the eye, and I looked on myself as an educator, a kaiako. You're teaching them about things that are Māori. What happened here? They all go, "Oh, Māori are getting their settlement." So I go, my main one was Tainui. "Oh, Tainui got 195 million. A lot of money, eh?" And look around the room now. What's Tiffany doing here? He's trying to corner us. Tainui got 195 million. Yeah, well, actually, Tainui lost 1 million acres, got 1 million acres confiscated for 140 years. That's the city of Hamilton's rates and rates of every farm in Waikato, all the other cities of towns of Waikato. Actually, 140 years of 1 million acres. Actually, it works out about 10 billion. So mathematicians worked it out, and it works out at 10 billion. So we all know as Māori how much we didn't get back. It's generally 5% of what you lost, you got back. So farmers, I'm out at Galatea there, in my old mate Collins over there, and we were 70 farmers, and with Doug Leader, and he's also a farmer as well. And we're all out there, and I get up and talk, and I'm sort of giving my usual farmer thing. It takes 2,500 litres of water to make 1 litre of milk. Your cows, how many cows there are, 10 million or whatever it is in New Zealand, are drinking all the water, and they're polluting what's left in our rivers and streams, wash off from the farms. Farmers don't want to hear this, but, And so, anyway, this old fella gets up and he goes, "Tippity ma," he's the old 70-year-old, "I'm not voting for you." And I said, "Are you on the Māori roll?" And he goes, "No." I said, "Oh, you can't vote for me anyway." So that's the difference between a Māori seat and my uncle Trevor and Auntie Merapeka and now Mercia Gates. They're all on RLC in Rotorua there. And the problem is when you're a Māori on a general seat, you've got to be careful how you talk about Māori whakaaro and Māori things, because you've got non-Māori you still have to be nice to. So, you've got to be very careful, whereas when you're on a Māori seat, you can say what you like, provided there's no, swearing in any of that. I always kept it nice and straight up and no swearing. And, the other thing here is there's only 13,000 on the Māori roll that would vote for 3 Māori seats. Now, 13,000, you might think, okay, it's only a tiny fraction, but you've got to remember, for the last, how many years have we had district councils? 150 years. There's been no Māori voice. So it's a bit of equality, it's catching up on equity and stuff like that. So, people are going to argue that, oh, sorry, time up? I was looking that way. Oh, sorry. Doug Leader was always trying to cut me off as well. But So anyway, okay, thank you. Thanks.
Can I just check before I call the next speaker? Was there anybody here from the Tuwhare Taonga? So can I know, please, Tony Boynton and Dana Lee, come together. They're from Te Uruku, Tautoko Māori.
I roto I tūhoe e noa te wahine ne, te kōrero. Tino tūtai tēnei tūru.
Kia ora rā tātou.
Dana will speak first.
Ko au te mea tuatahi. Kia ora rā tātou.
What's your brother?
Yeah, ko pai. Tēnā tātou, ko tānei li tōku ingoa, he uri Pākehā hau no ngā whenua maha o Uropi. Inoho ana au ki konei ki Whakatāne, ki rungi i te whenua raukatoa Ngāti Awa. My name is Dana Lee. I am a Pākehā descendant from many lands of Europe, and I live here in Whakatāne on the stolen lands of Ngāti Awa. I'm here now today to whakakanohi te tiriti o Waitangi. E noho ana au I te taha o tāku kua, ko Tony. Ko au he Pākehā, ko Tony, ngai Māori, kei ko nei māua ki te whakakanohi I te tiriti o Waitangi. And so what I just said is I'm here with my friend Tony to show the face of te tiriti o Waitangi. So what that means, if we always hear about partnership, well I can tell you straight up, this is a true partnership between me and you. It has been. We met in 2017 here in this very room at the submissions hearing for Māori Wards. And ever since then, we have travelled together in true partnership, working with each other, helping each other, going to the kaupapa together all the time. So, I runga I tēnā, my kōrero is really just about encouraging you all to be bold, to be leaders. Like our council were leaders in 2017 when they voted for Māori Wards. That was quite an auspicious day, so I would like to firstly mihi to Tony Bond for the leadership that he showed at that time, and to the councillors who voted yes back then. Also to our current Mayor Judy, who's been a supporter all the way along of Māori Wards and has been vocal about that. And also to our former East Coast MP Anne Tolley, who in her new role in Tauranga Council has also supported Māori Wards. I had the opportunity to talk to our Prime Minister last weekend, and I asked her quite a bold question. I asked her how she reflects on what being a good treaty partner means. And her answer to me was, it was wrapped up in lots of nice politician words, but basically what it came down to was, we've got a lot of work to do. And we were talking Pākehā to Pākehā. We've got a lot of work to do, but we need to remember that things have happened that haven't been fair, and it's our job to do our best to make it right. We need to keep going. If something's not working, we have to change it. So that's the whakaaro that I'm bringing here. I don't think things have been working in terms of what the relationship looks like here. Don't need to go into any details for that, but there's been long time been calls for improved, fairer representation, and I think it'll bring better decision making around this table, which will be better for our whole district, for everybody in our district, not just for Māori, but for Pākehā as well. I've got my mum and my sister here today supporting me, and they are wholeheartedly behind this kaupapa. If we have fairer representation and Māori are elected by Māori to speak for Māori, it changes the dynamic of the decision-making table, and I think that can only be a good thing. So I'm here asking you to be progressive, be bold, the wave that Tu was talking about. I'm always down for a surfing analogy, he knows that. Catch the wave that Tu was talking about and join the other councils that have voted for Māori Wards, including, we know that Bapini Regional Council has done so, but I've got a list here that I'm going to read out, and I think there may have even been some added since, but I'm asking you to please jump on that wave, or the waka, or whatever metaphor you want to use. Be bold, be progressive, let go of the fear. There's so much more to be gained than the perception of what might be lost. Please join Kaipara, New Plymouth, Ruapehu, Tauranga Moana, Gisborne, Northland, Taupo, South Taranaki, Whangārei, Tararua, Hamilton, Hastings, Wellington City, Palmerston North, Rangitike, Whanau, Matamata Piako, Horizons Regional, Nelson, Hawke's Bay Regional, Wairoa and Whakatāne District Councils, and vote yes for Māori Wards. Ngā mihi.
Tēnā rā koutou katoa I mihi atu kia o koutou I tēnei rā ki te huihui mai I tēnei kaupapa hohonu ki te ki ngā tūru Māori. I just want to mihi to everyone who has spoken before me and also to Judy, our Mayor and our councillors that we have here. This is your domain. And we're thankful that we have this opportunity to be able to hopefully make history on this day. I was just saying outside, I might have used up all my speech juice rallying everybody before we walked in. But I just want to reflect back on that this is the third time that I have actually presented to the council in regards and in support of Māori Wards. In 2017, on the 14th of November, I did my first presentation here with the chairman of our marae from Tuapo and Matahi, Peho Tamiana Tate. He was also on the community board for the Whakatāne Council in the past. And so I acknowledge that he is no longer with us, as are many who supported this kaupapa in 2017 who are no longer here today to be able to witness, hopefully, what is an historic occasion. At that first presentation, I talked about how my tamariki, I have 4 sons, and for me, how they have to work in 2 worlds. They have a world which is their Māori world, and they have no choice in because that is part of their identity. And they also have a Pākehā world in which they walk in, which they also have no choice in being a part of. It is just part of their lives. And I spoke about how in some instances there are people in society who don't have to worry about what world they are walking in because everything that surrounds them is built for them, by them. So part of today is to be able to ensure that our tamariki and all our mokopuna are able to see themselves reflected in the decisions and also the leadership of the council that we have here. I also did say too that if we did vote for Māori Wards, you'll get 2 for the price of 1 because we walk in both worlds. And so you'll be able, the abilities that we have to be able to articulate ourselves in both worlds also brings the opportunity of innovation, the opportunity to be able to see the world from both sides and the advantage that that brings and that we are seeing in the growth of the Māori economy and also other innovative areas. My second time that I came here, I talked about the past. I spoke about my great-grandfather, Ruakinana, and in his time and how he sought to be able to have fair treatment of the laws that were enforced in his time. And I also bought a replica of his flag which had kotahi te ture mona iwi e rua, which is one law for 2 people. And in that He was seeking to ensure that when the law is applied, that it applies equally to both people and not against just one. And finally, today I talk about the present, and I have hope that today we make history in terms of being able to take that step forward. We are at a time now where our country is maturing. We have been brought up now for the past 20 years in a post-treaty settlement era. We have tamariki a ranatahi growing up, knowing the histories of this land. And as a wahine Māori, I sit here in front of you today as an embodiment of both the past, the present, and the future. In our world, we hold te whare tangata. We also hold the toto of our ancestors. Te whare tangata is the womb and is the place of mankind and the future. In our bloods is our ancestors' DNA, and in our presence is our tinana that we have now. With wahine Māori, we also represent the whenua. So when our Māori people are speaking, it is the whenua that is speaking. It is the sea that is speaking. It is the water that is speaking. And these are the very things that need to come to the forefront now that we are seeing. We need to come together to be able to ensure that the voice of those taonga are present when there are decisions about how they are looked after and how we see the future use of them continuing to ensure that we look after everybody and everything. So I ask you all to not only think about Māori, but also to think of your own tamariki and to think of your grandchildren or mokopuna in the future and what you want to be able to say to them. Because all we ever want is to create a better world and leave the world a better place for our future generations. And today is your opportunity to make that decision and to make that happen. Kia ora.
One of our presenters has asked if they could walk away and another meeting to go to, so I'm hoping Mr. Dan, would you like to come and make your presentation? He has another meeting to go to. Mr. Dan. Sorry, David Jones, sorry. David.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Councillors, and thank you for this. It's not a meeting. I've got to look after my wife. She broke her elbow, and her needs are actually secondary to this. I will read from a piece of paper or two that you will get a copy of in due course. It's been a few years since I occupied a seat in this room. Being a councillor was rewarding, but I don't miss the many hours of work entailed. And I have some sympathy for you there. In fact, I have the greatest of sympathy for the 11 elected members who meet here today to make a decision on an electoral process on which they cannot possibly claim to be well prepared or informed. Predictable. I'm guessing you might refute that contention. In 2018, the then Mayor and Councillors made, in my opinion, a very poor choice of the options available to them by voting to introduce Māori Wards, with a very slim majority and without using the democratic option of a referendum to poll the opinion of all voters of this district at the next scheduled local body election. It's a matter of record that I and 2 other ratepayers, just a small group of us, activated one of the alternatives that were available in the statutes at that time. It was not at all difficult to organise and gather the names, addresses and signatures of much more than 5% of the electorate who thought there needed to be a referendum before a significant change might have been made to the way citizens would choose their representatives. That referendum eventually returned a majority who opted for no change at that time. The original council decision was overturned. In recent months, the current government has made partial, please, I have to emphasise that, partial change in the local government electoral law. If you don't know about that, then I suggest that you have a good bit of study on the subject. Good, fine. And thank you for your prompts. Therein lies the real problem. An incomplete additional bill said to complement and complete the intent of the whole legislative process has not yet been fully drafted, let alone introduced into Parliament. It's been indicated by Minister Mahuta that the remainder of that complementary legislation will contain all of the many terms, definitions, formulas and conditions that will form the whole. However, Whakatāne elected members are called upon today to make a decision having little or no idea of the actual content and the impact of the sum of its parts. Hence, the questions I have are many and various. These are just a few. If, when the additional bill passes through Parliament, whenever that may be, will the Mayor and Councillors of this district, whoever they may be at that time, be able to easily reverse an earlier decision? You probably think you can. Can you say here today with hand on heart that you have been sufficiently informed by District Council officers, the electoral law specialists and Council's own retained legal advisors and the very few parties and organisations you have chosen to invite to this forum? I doubt it. One more page to go. From the way this meeting was advertised, it would appear possible that the acceptance of bids by individuals, such as I, to be permitted to speaking time was almost an afterthought. You have a little look at paragraph 7.2 on your report. Having been one of the instigators of the referendum process, I would have thought I might have been specifically contacted in advance of the beacon notification. Wow. Wonderful response, eh?
Order, please.
I just finished that and say